Chicken Jockey.
God.
Nope, you didn't. You didn't yell or throw your popcorn or. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devin Decker, and joining me, the guy who doesn't want to be a part of Rocky Horror 2.0 is Sejohn Sarowick. How you doing, Sejohn?
It's that thing where the line has not yet been crossed. If there was something happening every 5 minutes in that movie where something ridiculous was going on like that, then I'd be okay with it. But the fact that it's just like the one thing, the like throwing popcorn at that one moment, that sucks.
So, I mean, the first question I have to ask is, did you get to see a Minecraft movie this week?
No, I did not get to see a Minecraft movie this week because it's been sold out in a bunch of places. On top of the fact that it is hard for me to justify going to this movie alone.
Well, I thought it was because, like, Utah in the news for having to shut down theaters because of Chicken Jockey. This is crazy. The thing's insane. Provo, we shut it down.
They're pretty uptight in Provo, so
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, New Jersey theater and township requiring chaperones for teenagers to see a Minecraft movie. I mean, what is going on in the world? We were at a place last episode of the Say Report, and I had seen it. I had watched the film, but I was unaware of all of the memification that was going on. I had not yet seen the TikTok documents. Like
TikTocuments, please.
The TikTocuments, apologies. Yeah, I cannot believe, and the movie is kicking ass because of this whole thing. Now, this scenario that we're seeing with a Minecraft movie, is it closer to the Munions phenomenon? Is it the Barbenheimer phenomenon? Is it some new phenomenon? Are Munions and frickin' Barbenheimer the same phenomenon? What do you think, Sejohn, as our cinema expert?
Oh yeah. Thanks, the cinema expert, right? And not the one that's went to what was it, 300 movies in 300 days or something.
Oh yeah, no, it was that. The joke was that, Sejohn.
Yeah, here's the thing: movies are not doing well right now. I have been very surprised by the number of theaters upset that they're selling tickets. Like that, like I get it. Like people are misbehaving in the theater, and we need to do something to curb that. We all need to stop being fucking animals. But there is definitely this side of me that is just like, man, this is a lot of complaining for a business that 2 months ago was talking about how nobody was showing the fuck up.
Well, so I think it's kind of a perfect storm, right? As the other cinema expert on the show. I think it's a perfect storm of nobody's going to theaters. So this actually, while this should be good news for cinemas across the country, because people are actually buying tickets to go see your movie, I think how they're actually reading it and what we should actually read it as is nobody has any respect for them anymore, which is why the, like, gleeful destruction of the theaters that some of these people have reported is so terrifying to them.
Yeah.
Because, like, once you don't care anymore, that's when you start vandalizing things. Like, vandalism went up in malls before we kind of shut down all the malls. I know that some malls are still open, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't know if you ever saw any of the vandalism that was going on in, like, the Rhode Island Mall or the Wakefield Mall before they shuttered them as malls.
Yeah, no, and there is a growing issue, like, in this particular generation of things, like these, like, weird stories you hear about like mobs of kids running into stores to rob them and shit like that. And, like, what the fuck is going on with this? Like, I'm not saying weird shit didn't happen in our generation as well, but it just seems like more pervasive in this one. But maybe that's just being more aware of the world. I don't know.
I guess we got to give credit to the Warwick Mall and their no more than 4 policy, because it really kept us in line. Who knows what would have happened if 5 youths were hanging out together?
I like that it assumed I had 3 friends. There was always this, like, there's always this tendency, though, by, like, the older generation to just be like, man, these kids are just out of their fucking minds. But, like, then shit like this comes up, and you're just like, no, like, there's something going on here.
So, I mean...
It's the little children of the corn for me.
It's a little like, and a lot of the craziest thing about it, right? I talked about that Township Theater in New Jersey. The journalist who recorded the segment at the very end is like, I have to admit, I have no idea why this is happening. I've spoken to Minecraft fans, and they have no idea either. And it's like, because it's a meme. Like, it was memed from the trailer, and now people have taken the meme to the extremes. This is nothing new. We've seen people do this before. And not even this generation. We've seen other generations do this before.
But I think where the breakdown is, and this is something that's very much this new generation, is like how non sequitur it is. It doesn't have anything to do with like the history of Minecraft. This isn't a memeified thing that's been in like the Minecraft fan base forever. So a Minecraft movie is getting this. This is something that just like kids are just doing to just do a thing, right? Like, so you mentioned Rocky Horror earlier, but one of the beauties of Rocky Horror is that like that stuff is embraced by the film in a weird way. Like it is acknowledged. What happens when people are screaming at that, they're screaming back lines from the movie. They're enjoying themselves. People that love that movie are doing those things, right? I don't get the impression that the people that are doing this shit at theaters for Minecraft are there because they love the Minecraft movie. I'm not saying one way or the other. I don't think they have an opinion about the Minecraft movie or care about the Minecraft movie in that moment. They are not there for the movie. They are there for something else, right? And I think that's the difference between the two.
That's a good point. I mean, let's be fair, though. The Rocky Horror Picture Show thing has kind of evolved into there being a subsection of people who are just there to be part of the action. They're not people who are new. And they're not there because they love the movie. They don't know the movie. They're doing it because it's this thing that they can be a part of. I mean, the fact that they have the RKO traveling show where they have the people acting in front of the movie now. I mean, I think that's gotten a little out of control too. And it's the closest analog that I can draw is the Rocky Horror Picture Show in terms of what this feels like. But I will also agree that these people who are going, I mean, based on some of the videos I've seen, I hope that that's what happens in my theater. That's the reason I'm here. I want to see it in real life. So you don't care at all about the movie. But then the movie theaters are laughing all the way to the bank, right? Because if you get thrown out of the movie theater, you don't get a refund. Don't ask me how I know, but that's how that goes. So I don't know. And it really kind of bothers me. What if you're somebody who's just there to see the Minecraft movie? At the chicken jockey scene, like, they stopped the movie. And I don't know if you've ever been at a film that stopped in the middle. You're not getting back into it in the theater experience. It is literally the worst thing that can happen to a movie in a cinema experience outside of actual tragedies. If you're in a movie theater and the power goes out, you're in a movie theater and the reel breaks. I know that doesn't happen, but we've seen corrupted hard drives, right? We've seen the movie not load. It is nothing ruins the flow of a film in theaters like the film stopping, and you're never going to recapture it. It's not like at home.
It's poison. It is poison.
So I feel bad for these people. As somebody who enjoyed a Minecraft movie, again, I've only watched the work print because it found its way into my hands, and I have no problem sharing that because I feel in a weird way like I can at least participate in this conversation because I've seen the film, but I didn't see the film in one of these situations that like would make me say I'm never going to the theater again. Like, I have to admit that. Like, it would be the type of thing that would fully turn me off of movie theaters going forward.
Yeah.
If I were in one where, like, and I'm talking if it were to the levels of the people with the live chicken, and then outside they were, like, having a ritual sacrifice of the chicken after being escorted out by security. The people who... What? Yeah, right? Like, it's crazy. They're all in a circle, they're holding the chicken up, and they're like, we don't know what happened to that chicken. So, like, sensationalism by the news, I understand that, but, you know, I've seen a couple of ritual sacrifices of wildlife and fowl. That's what looked like was about to happen. What else are you going to do?
But
what?
I have so many questions, but we do not have the time.
And you haven't seen the movie yet. So, like, and I don't want to ruin anything about the film. I want to have a discussion about the film with you. But when I saw everything was happening, I'm like, there's no way Sejohn is going. And then when I saw that Utah was, like, having huge issues, I'm like, oh, there's certainly no. I kind of hope he went so that he could talk to us from what happens on the inside. But I know I had considered going to see the movie on Tuesday, and I'm like, no, it's not really worth it if this is a possibility. So as great as it is for theaters, this type of stuff, violence, right? Like, think about what was happening at rock concerts in the 90s and the fear of, like, well, I'm not taking my kids to concerts because they could get hurt. Look at what's happening. Look how crazy this situation is. That's what we're seeing right now in movie theaters. And I'm not trying to be, like, sensationalist or shocked. It's the reaction that people have to this type of thing is, well, I'm just not going to go there anymore. So while they are getting money, they're making money. There's no doubt that they're making money. Minecraft had the largest opening of the year to date, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's not going to be number one again at the box office.
You think it'll hit $1 billion?
What?
You think it'll hit $1 billion?
That's a really good question. With everything that they're doing that is anti-meme consumer, I don't think so. I think that if they weren't doing like the chaperone stuff, if they weren't willfully pushing away willing participants to see this movie just because, like, the one that really kind of pissed me off was everybody's throwing their popcorn at this scene. And it's like, do you know how filthy a theater is after you leave it? The fact that they're throwing their popcorn, that's neither here nor there. It's either getting thrown by them or it's winding up on the floor. This is not adding work for anybody. And I think that's wrong. I'm not excusing the behavior of film goers, but I took photos after I saw Days of Future Past. It was the most disgusting I have ever seen a theater outside of like a matinee of Magic Mike.
Just...
Yeah. Like, really. So the fact when they were just throwing popcorn, it seemed like lighthearted fun. We scream, we cheer, we throw our popcorn. Nobody's getting hurt. The fact that people are getting up on each other's shoulders for Chicken Jockey, the fact that they're bringing in real chickens, the fireworks that are going off in theaters. I mean, we're from Rhode Island, right? Fireworks, pyro in a small space, that is something that terrifies us as Rhode Islanders.
It's kind of bred into us in the last 15 years, yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where, stupid. You're bringing in fireworks? Stupid. Confetti cannons? Stupid. But you just want to throw your popcorn? I mean, that feels like throwing rice at Rocky Horror. Yelling back and cheering when he says Chicken Jockey? That feels like saying asshole after every time they say Brad. Like, those are lighthearted and they are fun. It has been taken to an absurdist level, and now theaters are willfully pushing aside those people who would keep going to see the movie and spending money on it. So I think there was a chance that it gets to $1 billion, but I think if they're going to be anti the type of people who want to go and celebrate this movie the way that we have seen, then I think they're just shooting themselves in the foot. That's just where I'm at. I mean, but I'm talking strictly domestically there. Internationally, there might be people who are like, oh, let's see what the Yanks are doing.
Yeah, I don't know about right now. I think that's the other thing is that
everybody hates America. Yeah.
Because, well, and rightfully so.
I'm not trying to.
Somebody's gonna stick up.
Everybody's always hated America. Now they're just not polite about it.
Yeah, now they don't have to be. Well, I guess the word would be diplomatic. Yeah, there's So I'm not convinced it's gonna hit $1 billion, which is a shame because I think in other circumstances, if this came out in the same circumstances that the Mario movie came out, it would hit $1 billion. I think, right? I think that the Mario movie, while being a fantastic movie of its own, also happened to hit at just the right time and just the right way, right? Like timing is, and I think that's true of a lot of movies that hit $1 billion. Like timing is everything, right? Like it's kind of just luck of the draw sometimes, and sometimes you luck out with like a good summer release and stuff. But with everything that's going on right now in the world, I just think this movie's just not going to get it, and I think that's unfortunate because of the ways in which we talk about movies being judged by their cash value. It's unfortunate that something like as big as the world falling apart is going to basically wreck the story of this movie in the future, right? Like people are not going to be able to hold it up in the same way that they maybe could have.
Yeah.
And it's not anything of this movie's fault, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I'm excited for when you get to see this movie. I have to say those words out loud. And I have to say, currently sitting at $434 million, right? There's some extra money. Let's just say $435 million. Round it up, whatever. If it were higher than that, like if it had already broken 500 million, and I know that it's very close, then I think I could maybe say it could get to the billion mark. What does surprise me is that 15.9% of that is domestic, 49.1% of that is international. Internationally, it's made $213 million. So as much as people are mad at America, people are still seeing the film. And I don't know, but here's the thing about a Minecraft movie, and then we'll finish it until Sejohn actually has seen the film, so then we can actually dive into it, and I'm very excited for that stuff, because as I never played the game, and I enjoyed my time with the film, I also have, I'm going to say this, it feels like a spiritual sequel to Napoleon Dynamite. Roll that one around in your head for a couple of minutes, because, yeah, buddy. But one of those things about this film is, if, based on everything that has happened with a Minecraft movie, they make a Minecraft movie too, I think it'll be more of a Morbius situation than anyone would be expecting. I just have to say that. I feel like even if this movie makes $1 billion, I don't think it will have the draw in a sequel that Mario 2 has, or that Jurassic World had.
Kind of something.
Yeah. It feels like this is flash in the pan. I think Barbie 2 will still be well received if they ever did a sequel to Barbie. I know Oppenheimer 2 would, because it would just be historical fiction at that point. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good flick. I enjoyed it. I don't think that they always judge by how much money it's made. I don't think the money that this movie is making is clean enough for, if I were a studio executive, to say, if we make a sequel, we will see the same sort of results. We have Joker Folie à Deux now, right? So hopefully someone in Hollywood is paying attention that, maybe a successful movie is just a successful movie in the moment. Maybe not everything needs a sequel. Maybe we just find another Touchstone video game. Maybe we make the Roblox movie instead.
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, man. If it's made entirely in Roblox, I'll give it credit.
That would be incredible. All right. So how you been, Sejohn, now that we cleared all that off of the table?
It's been good. I am recovering because last night was the first night of Passover, which, for anybody who doesn't know, requires at least 4 glasses of wine. And so I am in recovery mode today. So I'm sitting here with some sunglasses on, pretending that my brain is not trying to climb out of my head screaming.
That's fun. Probably going to be a shorter episode of the Say Report today, because I also am recovering, but I'm recovering from an incredible clean of the house after what was probably my best week to date of 2025, right? Movie theaters are back, and Devin Decker had an incredible week that I just don't know how it happened. I don't know how I went to bed at 1:30 a.m. after being out on Tuesday night, woke up and had a ripped-up bus driver honk his horn to tell me I wish I had your energy at 6:30 in the morning. That's the thing that happened, and I'm like, I'm running on 5 hours of sleep, friend. I don't know what my energy is that you are like, man, I wish I had your energy as I drive this bus.
Maybe you didn't seem completely given up on the world.
I mean, I was rocking. The loading screen song from Homestar Runner came up on my Spotify mix, and that song gets me going. That's a good song. But yeah, it's just been a really good week. So, but then yesterday, the reality of, oh, my parents are going to be back from their trip, so I got to make sure that the house is spick and span. And not like I had done anything, but I wanted it to be nicer than when they left. Of course, it's also been one of the colder weeks for April. I'm fucking tired of this weather season. I don't know what is going on with the world. Global warming, right? Like, that has to be it.
Yeah. I mean, shit's not great. Yeah, I mean, you guys got slammed by the big storms that kind of had really hit like Indiana and stuff. In Chicago, right?
I mean, it was more rain. We didn't really get snow. Though Friday morning, I drove by, because I head north for work, and I was driving by cars that had real snow on them. And it's like, jeez.
Yeah.
Like Thursday night, wrapping up at the bar, and someone's like, it's not cold out, is it? And I'm like, not only is it cold out, it's snowing out. Because it was a wintry mix of rain and snow, sleet and hail. And like, we're not going to be one of those shows that just talks about the weather, but like, we've had moments where I'm like, man, it feels like summer. And then to have a day that is like below freezing. It doesn't get above freezing.
This isn't so much about how nice the weather is so much as it is about how fucking crazy the weather has been this year. No, I 100% agree. It's been pretty wild out here. I remember the ski season out here started with all of the ski resorts wondering if they were going to get any snow, and they were like trying to like scramble to figure out how to get like anything on the ground for people to come and start visiting. And then all of a sudden now it won't fucking stop. It just keeps snowing every couple of days. It just decides it wants to do another snowstorm. It's not great, man, and it's really not.
No.
The world is falling to pieces in ways we don't even have control over any longer.
Yeah. Would you pay $700 for a Nintendo Switch 2, Sejohn?
Yeah, not right now. I wouldn't. No. No. I $700 for a Switch 2. No. So interesting that we've got a lot of information this week. About the ways in which tariffs were going to possibly be affecting the Nintendo Switch 2 after my call out last week that, people were mentioning maybe this wouldn't happen. Nope, it happened. It happened pretty bad.
I'm just waiting for them to say we're never releasing the Nintendo Switch 2 in the United States like they said for China. And then I don't know what happens. What happens then? Like, do I go to Canada to get a Switch 2? Would it be illegal? Yeah. Like, what would happen?
No, you just you'd get a Japanese Switch 2, just like everybody that gets like Japanese PlayStations early and shit, or like what was the PlayStation TV? Wasn't that a thing that only came out in Japan?
No,
and Europe,
PlayStation TV came out in America.
It did come out.
Yeah, it did come out in America.
I know that, I know the earliest ones I ever saw were Japanese. Yeah. So
they were dramatically different, the ones that came out in America than the ones that came out overseas. And there's the issue with the Switch 2. They've already said that the Japanese Switch 2 is going to be cheaper than the international version and will only offer Japanese language. Now, that doesn't bother me. You know that I play games in Japanese, but for a lot of other people, that would be a real hurdle for them to have to clear. Oh, you mean if you had to buy a
Japanese Switch 2? I see what you're saying.
Yeah. It's I think that it would be better. I think Canada would be the better option. So here's the thing. We'll talk more about the Switch stuff because it's important. My Monday started with our Quizmaster Will asking if I wanted to come live in Australia. We'd love to have you, and Lord knows things aren't that great in America right now. Real conversations. It felt very much like someday Ken Burns is going to talk about this conversation with a sepia filter over it. And we had a real discussion about what it would mean if I were to emigrate to go live in Australia. And after that whole conversation, he's like, you know what? Is there any way we could fake that you're Canadian? Because as an American, there's a good chance you might not even be welcomed into the country. So I contacted fan of the show, Hab Guy, and I'm like, look, how quick can you make me a Canadian?
how quick can you make me? Because that's all they have to do. One has to come down and just bless you.
Yeah,
like
just
the Pope.
And he's like, well, I mean, yeah, I know a lot of Americans want it right now. And then he sent me a picture of the snowstorm that they got. And then I felt real bad because I'm like, look, Hab, I got to be honest with you. I'm really just becoming Canadian so I can eventually be Australian. I don't want to break your heart. I wouldn't have to deal with the snow that long. But, like, these are real conversations that I'm having. And usually, like, it'd be, like, probably 70-30 between humor and serious. It's, like, 30-70 now. Like, it's a little bit of a joke, but at the same time, maybe I don't want to be in America anymore. And that is something else. So, while we've also heard that the Switch with the tariffs and everything, the Switch 2 specifically, could be $700. We've also heard that Nintendo, we're just not going to release the Switch in China. And now, like, that feels like a real possibility based upon how non-diplomatic we are acting in this country right now.
Yeah, and I will say, like, the other big thing to keep in mind about that Switch 2 price is not only is it a steep price, it's a steep price after hearing a not so steep price. We were told a $450 console. So if it turns around and comes out and it has to be $700 because of whatever fucking nonsense is going on, that is a blow. Like, in some ways, worse than if it had just come out at $700 to begin with.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, I think it'll be easier to get them. But no, like, that's me being an asshole for a silver lining. Yeah, it is. The $450 was like kind of a holy fuck. And then $500 for one that includes Mario Kart World. So, like, that Mario Kart World version, is that going to be $750 or is it going to be $800 because of the inherent value that we now see Nintendo holds in Mario Kart World? Like, it is just... And then Nintendo's reaction, like, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. Like, cool. That's a cool way to work, Nintendo. You trying to neg me into buying your system? What is going on?
I don't understand. My big thing was I don't understand why they felt the need to respond to anything right now.
Yeah.
With all of the focus being on what's going on with the White House and tariffs and all this shit, they had no reason to fucking put their voice out there and give any explanation right now. Everybody was just kind of assuming we knew the explanation. So to, like, come out and not really say anything that contradicted what everybody already thought was going on, and then to add insult to injury, to be like, you could always buy the Switch 1. Thanks, guys. I thought we went through this already. Did you not talk to Microsoft before you said those words out loud?
It really felt like Darkseid was attacking the planet Earth, and then Lex Luthor had to be like, I'm also Superman's villain. Don't forget that, team. Like, shut up, Lex. The spotlight is not on you right now. Everybody cares about what Darkseid is doing. Why did you open your mouth? Like, it legitimately felt like Nintendo's like, oh, we don't look like the biggest bad guy in the room. Well, because you're not, friends. But, oh, you're certainly trying when you're saying things like, yeah, just don't buy it, right? That's why we'll still have the Nintendo Switch out there for people who can't afford the Switch 2. You're right. They looked at the Microsoft playbook, and it was all, like, scratch outs, omission X's, and they're like, we're going to try it, though, right? Maybe the problem was that Microsoft was saying it. Certainly everyone will love sweet little Nintendo if we do the same exact things Microsoft did that turned them into really kind of a non-combatant in the current console wars.
Yeah, I mean, really. I don't know, but Nintendo is just like, I think we've also mentioned before that Nintendo will always make the worst choice, right? Nintendo will always look at the board and be like, well, first of all, I should have made this move five moves ago.
True.
Secondly, I'm going to make this move now, despite the fact that everything's telling us not to. And it's like, okay.
Well, we've committed to making the move. Now we have to. No, we could just stay out of it. Like, we could call it a blessing that we didn't do this before. I just do not know. I don't. Like, everything is really weird.
But no, to answer your original question,
Yes, go back to
no. If the Switch 2 comes out and it's $750, I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. It's the same thing that happened with the PlayStation 5 for me. Is the price point was just at a point where it's like, no, I get it. It's cool that that thing's out. I'm not like shitting on anybody that does have the money to do it, but I'm not gonna. That's not where my money is going right now, right? And that's I feel the same way about a $700 Switch 2. It's just like, nope, sorry. Hope it does well. Hope it comes down in price at some point. Hope there's other versions and all that sort of good stuff, so that I eventually might buy one, but not at first.
The Nintendo Switch 2 doesn't have a 3DS backup plan, do you think, in this whole thing? Right? Remember when the 3DS came out and it was way overpriced, and then they had to knock the price down $100, and we're like, if you bought into it beforehand, you're an ambassador, and here's 10 free games that will never be released to anybody else. And to Nintendo's credit, they were never released to anybody else. The only way to get them was to be an ambassador on the 3DS. But, like, I think that if Switch 2 fails, Switch 2 just fails, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be more of a Wii U situation, is that they'll just let it die on the vine and move on to the next thing.
Yeah. And then for better or for ill, but it's just, I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page on that. Anything else to be said about the Nintendo Switch 2 at this moment, Sejohn? Anything else you want to make sure we get out there?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm still interested in like the games that we've seen. I'm still interested in the system. So like, I'm not saying that like I'm done with it. And by no means do I. That's the other side of this. Is I also understand that there's a large portion of this whole particular conversation that is in fact not actually Nintendo's fault. That's the other thing, is that a lot of people want to be looking at this pricing stuff and be talking about all this shit and be like, Nintendo is making some choices, and it's like, well, they kind of have to.
Again, the specifications are there to justify the original $450 price. The system, based on the people who have gotten their hands on it, it looks like it is a powerful machine. 120 frames in a portable device is fucking incredible. Especially if it's then running what are basically current gen games, right? It's not a new generation. It is set to match PS5 and Xbox Series. So I think that they're doing the right thing with that price. If the price does go up much higher, though, this is not a PlayStation Pro, right? This is not a PS5 Pro that had the $700 price tag. And for some say good reason. I have one. I will admit that I do have a PlayStation Pro, but I was planning on returning it because I'm like, I really don't need it. All my other stuff is working. And then the time to return it lapsed. So I have the system, and I don't know if I want to just like try to move it and get some of my money back. Like, that seems like the better thing to do, because I'm getting 120 frames off of my OG PlayStation and the PlayStation Slim that we have for upstairs use. So it's not like, what more is the Pro really going to give me? Is a question that has not been answered yet. I put my hands
I
up.
don't know, man. I don't know what the like major benefit you could point to is. Like, the PlayStation 5. I've been playing a ton of Dragon Age Veilguard this week because it came out free this month on the PlayStation Plus subscription, right? And it's gorgeous. It's phenomenal. You know, I have Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, like, it was one of the first things I bought with my PlayStation. It was part of the reason why I got the PlayStation, was to play Baldur's Gate 3. And like, the look is just, it's stunning. It is amazing. And I don't think that I would be $200 more worth stunned if I had bought the Pro version over what I got from the $500 version I bought.
Yeah, no, here's a question I'm going to ask you, right? Like, we're going to get a little tech heady here right now. Are you plugged into a display via HDMI 2.1?
No.
So even then, like, all of the displays that we have PlayStations plugged into in this house are HDMI 2.1. The fact that are you plugged into an HDMI 2.0 port at least? Do you know?
So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a 4K monitor, so
that's understandable. Yeah, so a 4K monitor, probably 2.0. I would love it if it were 2.1 for you. It doesn't change. Like, that's the thing, is that the port doesn't have any difference. You actually have to look it up to know that. But into HDMI 2.0, like you can get the 60 frames per second, you can get 4K, but you can't get anything higher than that. Like you're not going to ever get to 120 frames per second if you're not in a 2.1 port. And that's an important thing to note, right? And the only reason that I ask and bring it up is because the way you're talking about it and how it looks, that's wonderful. And that's you not even at the highest possible thing that your system is able to output.
But and what I mean is, like, I don't know if I would pay $200 extra to get to that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, this is more than enough for me, and like I then don't have to spend that $200. I don't know. I just like, some people get very into this stuff, right? Some people get very into wanting the best frame rate, getting the best, like, whatever fucking ray tracing conversations they want to get into. But like, it's just not there for me. Like there's an aspect of it that I respect and I appreciate. I like it when things look good. I like it when things are pretty. But at a certain point, like, I realized I don't need to spend that extra $200 on a Pro. I'm perfectly happy with just the baseline.
Well, and then what I just want to make sure that the listener understands is that it would be $200 more to get the Pro over what you got at the time that you got it. But then you'd also have to invest at least $200, if not more, into a monitor where you could take advantage of the Pro's differences. Because even with the one that you have, right? You got a slim, I believe, correct? I'm trying to remember. Or did you get a big fat boy? Nice.
No, I got the fatty.
Love it. So you got the big guy. You got a disk drive in there.
I did indeed.
Yep. See? So you're already working better. And you're like, these games look incredible, and you're not even getting the full potential out of that system because your monitor isn't of a certain, like, specification.
Age.
Yeah, right? That's no, and I get it. Trust me. The pandemic is one of the reasons why I was able to do the research and find the monitors that I have these systems plugged into. Like, I'm on that big 43-inch monitor that I bought for the PS5 while we're recording now. And yeah, it looks pretty great, but like, I mean, like, that, I don't know how it gets better than this. I don't know, like, if I'm going to use this until it stops working, knocking on wood right there. Because it was a huge generational leap from the other two monitors that I had used beforehand. And
I will call it right now. The thing in the next, like, 10 years that I think we're going to see become, like, the next thing that everybody buys into, like, it was 4K for a while, VR, all that sort of shit. Glasses-free 3D TVs. I think we're going to see a run on those in, like 2035. I think we will see glasses-free 3D TVs, and they will be hot shit for, like, 2 years, like 3D TVs were before, and then disappeared completely.
Yeah, you want to talk about 3D TVs and the time capsule of them. I have been watching Raising Hope with Dale because she's never seen the show. And yes, I've already watched through all of Raising Hope one time in 2025. So this is technically, I'm actually about halfway through on another rewatch without Dale. And we're through 14 episodes of the first season. The amount of times that they reference 3D TVs in Raising Hope, a 2010 to 2014 show, is ridiculous when you consider nobody's got a 3D TV anymore. They
really
flash in the pan and then, no, I don't want to wear glasses in my house.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen. Like, if Sejohn's right, and I do, you're probably right. As much as Apple wants to be like, we have a 5K display. Sure you do. Sure you do, Apple. And the fact that there are 8K displays out there, but I think there's only one PlayStation game that can do 8K, to the fact that they had to take the 8K off of the box because it was really deterring people from buying the system because they couldn't get it for everything. Like those things are beautiful, but I think the next big thing that everybody's going to do, you're right, is going to be glassesless 3D televisions. And then we're all going to be like, but I hate that I have to be at just the right perfect angle in order to get the 3D as well as I can.
You have to be sitting in the center of the room. You have to be about 10 feet back for it to work. You have to be...
It's not fun watching it with other people because we don't all get the same experience. Like, it is... 3D is obvious, like holograms are one day going to be there, but I don't know if it'll be in our lifetimes. And if it is, we're just going to complain about them. And I'm talking about
Holograms,
in-home
but I feel like
holograms.
right, and I feel like holograms are going to have to kind of backdoor their way into doing anything major as far as film and TV go, because first they're going to need to come into our lives a different way. You can't just say this show is entirely going to be made in hologram format at first. You have to have like your TikTok, you have to have like your YouTube Shorts, your Instagram moment, your whatever that like poppin' is that gets a generation of people into holograms, that they then get to a point where it's like, well, we're so used to holograms, why aren't more things on holograms? And then that's when you'll get like TV shows and movies made in the hologram. Whereas like glasses free 3D TV, that the baseline nature of how you consume that is already built in. You have a TV in front of you and you watch your movie, right? So the only difference is that they're going to put some technology in it supposedly to make it like this 3D experience for you. I don't know how glasses free 3D can work. I was trying to read up on some of this because it is something that people are getting really into, like exploring right now.
The
And
3DS did it somehow. I don't, but it's not in the Switch, so that really tells you something.
well, so taking the 3DS into account, what the 3DS really did is that you basically had a depth within the product, right?
Right.
Like, so you basically are looking through a window into another world, and it is like you're looking into this thing. I don't know if that's how I want my 3D, because currently 3D TVs, if you have 3D glasses on, things come out of the TV. It's a different thing, right? Something coming out of the television into your space is very different than you having a depth, like having to go deeper into your thing in order to experience the 3D. It doesn't feel nearly as immersive. And I think that that's one of the 3DS's biggest problems, is that it didn't feel like things were popping off of the screen. It felt like things were falling into the screen.
I will say, when I've seen films in 3D, the latter is the one that I prefer. Ones where, like, I'm watching the movie, and so I am looking into a different world, and I see how this tree is a little in front of, like, another tree. And I have that true, like, interpretation of the depth of that person's world. Those movies work in me. Movies like Monsters vs. Alien, where the guy is using the paddle ball towards me in the audience and the ball is like coming out. I mean, that's fun, but it feels more novel to me than when I am actually getting to see a depth within the picture I am looking at. But again, that's I know that I'm crazy and that I'm different from most consumers who are on your page where like, no, I want like it to seem like the water's coming into my room from the TV.
Yeah, no, I want the monster to take a swing and make me feel like, oh my God, it almost hit me, right?
Yeah.
Versus this thing, it's a level of disassociation if it's like through a portal and on this thing, and you can't really ever really go anywhere closer to it because it's gonna look the same whether you're up close or not. And there's if glasses free 3D TV is just that, I don't think that it's going to be fun to watch, even if you do have the perfect seat. Like, it's going to feel very weird and very, very distant. You're never going to really feel like you're getting into things.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, and again, either way, I don't think that it'll be more than a novelty for a few years.
Yes, yeah, no, I think it's going to be the same thing that happened with the other 3D television
Yeah.
craze, is that we'll see it for a couple of years and then it'll be something of a that we joke about on a podcast 5 years
Yeah.
later.
Like, it's crazy to me that Minecraft has a 3D element and release. Because, like, I thought that was done. Some other movie that I just recently saw, and it's like, oh, the early show is in 3D. And I'm like, why would I want to see that movie in 3D? I don't
Captain
even
America
remember.
had a 3D release out here, I think.
Yeah. And I think Thunderbolts, I think that's what I was looking at, is that Thunderbolts has one. No, it was something that I went to go see in the theater, where they're like, we have a 3D showing at this time, and then all the other ones are 2D. I don't remember what it is. Maybe it was Snow White, and I didn't see Snow White, but I was definitely looking at Snow White. One day we're going to have to talk about Snow White and everything that's going on there, but not until I can watch it in the comfort of my home, because I don't even want to watch it in the comfort of my home. Right? Like, I'm
I don't know,
so
man.
weirdly...
They took one of the most kind of unloved Disney movies, as important as it is in the canon of Disney movies. It is not exactly the first movie that anybody calls their favorite, right? And they just like, so they were already starting in a weird place with that movie, and then like everything that got layered on top of it by the time it came out.
Yeah. Yeah, because my mother's like, I love Sleeping Beauty, but then when Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out on VHS, she's like, we gotta buy it so that we could see it. Because she's like, I've never seen it, and you've never seen it. And then we watch it, and it's like, yeah, it's good, right? Like, I understand why those songs are in the sing-along tapes, but if I need a fix in a Snow White, I'm probably just gonna watch the sing-along tapes.
Yeah.
Those sing-along tapes, they were a formative part of my childhood. Let me tell you what,
I think everybody had two or three different ones, right?
Yeah,
I had a creepy one, like it was like Halloweeny, but it wasn't really Halloween. Like the one of the songs on it was like Ugly Bug Ball and stuff.
Yeah, I know. Jeez, I think all of them by the end. Like, I was seeking some out. I Love to Laugh used to freak me out because it had Pink Elephants on Parade on it. But like,
yeah.
But because that's just like as a kid, like that's a lot of visual stuff. That's like, oh damn. But then as I grew older, I'm like, this is great.
They use the same songs on different tapes too, right? Because I remember like renting some of them too, and then having the same songs.
So yeah, they all have like sort of a theme there. They're compilation albums, really, with a sing-along element. They were really good. But like, yeah, Grim Grinning Ghosts is in like Disneyland Fun, where they go to the Disneyland theme park, and that one's cool because it's all shot around Disneyland, and it's like live action with the characters and costumes and things. And then they do Grim Grinning Ghosts, and like as that was Dale's favorite as a kid, but that scene was like too much for her until she was a little bit older, because she's like she loves like
following the leader from Peter Pan being in like 3 of them.
Yes, and one of the and that's crazy because they also have like a Peter Pan one that has What Made the Red Man Red, which was like animated, but then they didn't put it in the movie. Like it's off of the so there's like, it was also a weird way to see like omitted parts of these films. Yeah, Following the Leader was in a bunch of different ones and different versions too. I will say that the visuals were often different, but yeah. Those were something else. Hi ho.
I mean, they were basically just commercials for the movies, right? Like they were just like, buy these, then get the itch, then the kid wants to see more of Peter Pan, so you go buy Peter Pan.
Yeah, but I will say this in terms of, I mean, all of the entertainment we grew up with were commercials, which is why it's so crazy that people are so nostalgic for them now. It's like, I just want to watch 30-minute commercials, Dad. Oh yeah, well, I'll have to talk about that because that'll be fun. But yeah, so, but the care that went into a Disney sing-along songs tape was really, really good. Like the fact that you always had the like framing device of it being the bird school with the owl guy, like that blue owl guy. We will make sure before you're done, music's fun for everyone. Like that guy's great. And that being the framing device. And then there also being like, he's like, well, today, children, you have a special teacher. Here's Jiminy Cricket. And Jiminy Cricket will like be the host of that one that has like some Pinocchio songs. Mostly like Figaro and Cleo, which again, not in the movie, but written to sell the movie. Ludwig von Drake. Love Ludwig von Drake. He was like a nothing character until the sing-along song stuff. Like when Ludwig von Drake showed up into 27... Sorry, I'm too excited. The 2017 DuckTales series, that was awesome, but Ludwig von Drake had never really shown up in the original DuckTales. He showed up in Quack Pack, but everybody hates Quack Pack for some reason. I like Quack Pack. I'm going to go on record and say
Ludwig von Drake had been the framing device for one of the cartoon collections too. Like they used Ludwig von Drake in that way a lot. So like they used him on the musical tape, they used him on a couple of the cartoon collection tapes, they used him to be like an interstitial on the Disney Channel and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it's like he became.
They use him now in one of the Mickey Mouse Funhouse. I think it's Mickey Mouse Funhouse is the one that Ludwig von Drake. And what's funny is that they meet different versions of him everywhere they go. So it's always Ludwig von Drake, but it's always like, I'm Ludwig von Beethoven, or I'm Ludwig von. And then you're just
I'm
like,
Cowboy Ludwig von
what?
Drake.
He's a constant throughout time and space.
That's hilarious. That makes me so happy. I got to be honest with you. It makes me so happy that Sejohn, do you know what time it is?
Oh man,
We're
I think I do.
recapping Suits LA. If it's a one and done, then that's all we'll say. But if it gets renewed, we're gonna keep on doing it. It Suits LA on the Say Report. All right. So, Sejohn, did you know that John Amos is dead?
What?
John Amos, the father from Good Times, adult Kunta Kinte from Roots, James Evans Sr. from Good Times, he died August 21st, 2024. So the fact that he
I
was...
completely forgot.
Yeah. So the fact that he was in the first episodes of Suits LA really kind of indicates when they shot that first episode of Suits LA. So as we mentioned last week, they're done with the trial of Dexter, I don't even bother his last name, Kevin Weissman's character. It's a shame that Kevin Weissman's not in the show anymore, but if Suits LA is anything like Suits and it gets renewed, I'm sure he'll show up later on in the series to cause more problems for Ted and the gang at Blackett Associates. But John Amos has been...
another one, guys. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's completely fine. I killed another partner. God damn it. Lester, stop it. But I want to look up the first episodes of Suits LA. Well, it premiered 7 weeks ago, but I'm still going to look it up just to make sure I get the right date. Because the fact that John Amos showed up, and he was actually in the episode. Like, he was in that first episode. They talked about the fact. Sunday, February 23rd, 2025. That was almost 6 months from when John Amos passed away in real life. Because he died August 21st, 2024. So you have him in that first episode playing himself, giving advice to Ted. And then now I am certain that we are in brand new fucking script territory. That when this was written for Peacock, the first season was without a doubt the trial of Lester. And all the other stuff was just coming along with it. Because this is the first episode that addresses John Amos died in the show. Like, that's the thing. Rick's in a meeting, Ted's in a meeting at their respective law firms, and they both get urgent news that John Amos has passed away, and they're like, I have to go. I have to leave. And they meet up at Musso and Frank's to have old fashions, of which Rick has 6 of them, and literally collapses face first on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which leads to really, I guess, the main drive of this whole episode, which was trying to get John Amos a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
What?
Yeah, because apparently, right, that what is doing a lot of heavy lifting, but it is the exact right question to ask, because Ted, we find out, Ted Black, Steve Amell, this universe is Harvey Specter, though Harvey Specter exists in the universe, so I don't know what the fuck is going on. His father figure growing up was James Evans from Good Times. I always wished that John Amos's character from Good Times was my father instead of my crappy father. So the lost flashback stuff is his father coming to him and being like, did you know that the federal prosecutors were going to look into me? And he goes, no, I didn't, because they didn't tell me. And he goes, well, you're going to get me out of this. And he goes, no, I can't do that, Dad. Well, if you don't get me out of this, you're going to lose your job as a federal prosecutor. So now freaking in the past, New York 2010, he has to figure out a way to, like, get his father to not go to jail but also keep his job, because it was really gonna open up the window on everything that he's done in the office, and there could be retrials and everything like that because, oh, your father is this corrupt person. And here's the fucked up thing. We're in 2025. We know how it all goes. We know that Ted doesn't stay with the federal prosecutors. So it's just one of those things where it's like, which one of these weapons is going to be the instrument of your demise?
Yeah.
But yes, so John Amos was Ted's first client when he came to California. Come to find that out. He was Rick's first client because Ted asked him to join, and then I want you to take over as John's, main representation within the office. These are all things that happen. So the passing of John Amos, which in our world happened 6 months ago, for them happened in the 7th episode, is the driving force of the episode. As Ted is upset because he didn't take John Amos's advice, and he never talked to him after he said, go apologize to your father. Go accept his apology. And it's not for you. It's not for him. It's for fucking you. So you don't need to carry this along. So in a lot of ways, John Amos dying hit Ted harder than his actual father dying, because not only from a distance when he was a kid did he watch John Amos that's the kind of dad I wish I had. Later on in life, John Amos became an actual factual father figure to Ted Black. The layers, Sejohn, the layers make no fucking sense.
I would be remiss if I did not point out some of the... There is a level of this that is a little gross.
Yeah.
I appreciate the love and respect being shown to a man that I also, loved and respected. I, did amazing things for television history and all that.
He was the Sidney Poitier of television, is the direct quote that Ted, when he loses his temper with the guy who's in charge of getting him a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he's like, it's done. I'll cut through all the red tape. It's going to take 2 years, but he will get his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And 2 years is not fast enough for Ted. So he goes on this whole speech about what John Amos had done for television, calling him the Sidney Poitier of television. And it's just this is a really interesting argument that you're making. It's a little strange that it's the two white main characters who are making it, and not any of the black main characters who are having this argument.
Definitely a part of it that I was picking up on, that I was like, it's a little, this is cool. I love this. I love that they're showing this kind of love, and we need to show that everybody supports everybody, right? It can't just be that every time it has to be a black person supporting black people. There also have to be, you have to also imply that there is white support and stuff as well, right? But then the other side of that is also, we talk about this a lot when it comes to things like holograms and using people's identities when they're dead. They are trading on a dead man's name at this point, and so they need to tread carefully. It doesn't feel like, I don't come to Suits LA for the John Amos love, like somebody might go to see a Ghostbusters film because they miss Harold Ramis, and then they get to see him and have they get to decide for themselves how they feel about this, I guess. But it does feel like it's treading a little close to exploitive at some point.
Oh, yeah, no. And then the episode is dedicated to him. So clearly they're trying to make sure that that everything that we've done is because of our love for this person, right? He was someone who worked on the show, but then it definitely feels like this big pivot with the 7th episode, and they're like, well, let's do an episode that's paying tribute to this actor who worked on our pilot for this entire series, but then unfortunately passed away. Because it feels like if he were the only person who played himself, oh boy, would it feel exploitive. But thank goodness we've seen Enrico Colantonio come in and play himself. We saw one other person come in and play themselves as well. But Victoria Justice playing Dylan Pryor.
Kevin from The Office.
Brian Baumgartner. Yeah, thank you. And Patton Oswalt. So we've had that. So it's not okay, John Amos did it. He's going to be the only one who was himself in this universe. that would be even bigger if they then did an episode like this. The fact that there are some actors who play characters in the world of Suit LA and some people who play themselves is an interesting way to do it. Like Kevin Weissman, Victoria Justice. We have these examples of people playing characters who are, pretty well-known actors. But yeah, like the whole John Amos of it was really... And then on the other end of the thing, right, is that Kevin, the investigator, Kevin Dillon, he's leaving on Thursday now that Lester's case is done. So it starts with Ted giving him his paycheck, and it's double what he had offered him. And they have a nice little, playing with each other with the whole, you're missing a zero here. Oh, I'm missing a zero? You got the truth, kept it hidden from me. Let me argue a defense you knew was a lie, so I almost got disbarred, and I'm missing a zero? Really kind of just like how friends talk with each other. It was really, really good. And in a lot of ways, Kevin Dillon's character is the best one on Suits LA. He's the one, he's like the moral center. So the idea of he's like, I appreciate you coming out here for this. There's your money. I know you have to leave on Thursday, but no, there's an office for you here if you ever decide to make the move to LA permanent. So in addition to this episode mostly being a tribute to John Amos, the best character on the show, hands down, unopposed best character on the show, it's like his swan song episode. And he also just happens to be a black actor. So it's this is really feeling like some sort of way. So also, of course, in his storyline, they pair him up with Erica Rollins, their other main black actor, and they have an episode together. And it's her asking Kevin to find her mother's long-lost friend that her mother lost touch with 15 years ago. That opens up a whole thing for Kevin about the fact that, I hadn't talked to Ted for 15 years. And somewhere in there, my wife passed away, and I was so full of grief that I didn't realize that had Ted and I not separated, he's the only person I would have wanted to talk to about that grief. It's just a whole thing. And then her mom comes in, and her mom is all flirting with him despite the fact that her mother is married, which seems like new information because her mother didn't seem like she was married in the pilot, but I guess they just want to make sure there's no way that Kevin's going to hook up with Erica's mom. Don't worry, Middle America. It's crazy. And then her mom being like, I heard that boy's voice. He is still in pain. So, I thought I'd give him a little thrill and remind him that he can get back out there even though his wife is dead. And it's just okay, that was fun. What the cool, Erica's mom. So then Erica's like, I'll do something nice for him. So she sets up an office for him. She does not know about the conversation that happened with Ted. She's just wanting to show him that, he has a place in it. Builds him this beautiful office, name on the door, new Apple computer, new Magic keyboard and mouse. I think they're on version 7 of those. And he's really flattered. And then he's upset and he goes to Ted and he's like, oh, so you just put Erica up to this, right? You try to guilt me into staying? I thought, then he's like, what are you talking about? I did no such thing. I know why you have to leave on Thursday because of your father. But his father's dead based on the conversation that happened later. It's just the fact that back on the East Coast, he's running his father's former private investigation business. And he feels like he'd be doing his father a disservice if he lets that business close. Because the plan was be in the FBI, retire, then be an investigator with my father. But I got thrown out of the FBI and my father passed, so now I'm the only one keeping that whole thing alive. We did get the information that Kevin got kicked out of the FBI. I bet it's related to the Pellegrini case from 2010 and the reason why he didn't talk to Ted for 15 years. This show, I've noticed it with another show. I watched the first episode of The Chicken Sisters. It's a Hallmark series. We're never going to do Chicken Sisters recaps. You are safe. I don't know if I'm going to watch more than the first
scared.
episode.
My ass literally puckered when you said that there was a show called Chicken Sisters, and I was like, we can't.
Yeah, no,
can't
I heard the pucker siege, and that's why I wanted to make sure it's there. But Margot Martindale is the narrator. I hope it's revealed that she's like a chicken who's narrating, a la that Steve Martin movie where it was the dog. I don't remember the name of it. But she's narrating, and she alludes to something, and she's like, but that's another story for another time. And I'm like, so she's going to be in another episode. That's bullshit to Chicken Sisters. But then here comes Suits LA, and he's like, I'll tell you all about it sometime, Erica, but that's another story for another time. And I'm like, God damn it, Suits LA, why are you ripping off the Chicken Sisters? You're supposed to be a better show. Yeah, so I think the last important thing that has to happen is they end up agreeing to the 2-year term with John Amos. Amanda Stevens, he had initially, at that meeting where he found out that John had passed away, had intended to offer her the job as head of criminal law at Black & Associates. So he offered her that, and she's like, I need to think about it. So that's kind of our lingering thing. And then it ended with Ted and Kevin at Black & Associates and Rick and Erica at Railsback and Lane watching the first episode of Good Times. Like they started it at the same time because, you know, Edgar Wright kind of cut in between with the song and the scene and everything. And so yeah, it was this nice sort of tribute to John Amos, who passed away at this point almost 8 months ago. And, you know, and it's nice because he was in the show, but just a little too on the nose. Oh, Leah also, she's the Korean lawyer. She met with the lawyer for the Dylan Pryor, the writer for the Dylan Pryor project, and she said, sorry, that's it, but I'm going to finish this thought because it's something that I don't think is ever going to come up again. If we ever see Leah again, I'll be very surprised. But she met with the writer of that Dylan Pryor project, the indie one, and she now wants her to be her lawyer. So Leah has signed her first client. But then she read her client's script, and she's like, I think I can write a better script. I would like a sabbatical to write a script. And Rosalind, the office manager, is like, you have 48 hours, and then you're going to come back here, and you're either going to be dedicated to being a lawyer, or we're firing you. So you have a 48-hour sabbatical to see if you can be a screenwriter. She gives her scripts to Rick under the pen name Ezra Bridger. Do you know where Ezra Bridger is from, Sejohn?
No.
Star Wars Rebels.
Nice.
So he reads them and he's like, look, I got 10 pages in. They're all right, but anybody can have them. We don't need him. He's not as great as you think. And the fact that he's using the Star Wars Rebels character as a pen name means that he's not that, confident in himself as a writer anyway. But they were really her scripts. So then she's like, I guess I can give notes, but I can't write scripts. I'm just going to be a lawyer. So, yeah, that was Suits LA episode 7, titled Good Times. John Amos, rest in peace. I mean, I don't want to speak for Sejohn, but I understand what you did for the television landscape, and I'm a huge fan of your work. The episodes of, I think he was in The Neighborhood. He was in some show recently playing, just sort of that role. And it was, nice to see John Amos again. I'm actually going to look that up. But, it was just kind of weird how they did at the end of it. Like you said, like you brought up.
Yeah, it feels a little exploitive, but if it was also something very important to them, then I don't want to begrudge them the ability to reach out to a friend in that regard.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels almost, you know what it is? It feels like this was almost not for public consumption. Like they did this for themselves.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It felt a little strange. I mean, yeah, he showed up in Coming to America too. Oh, Uncut Gems. He was really good in Uncut Gems, talking about Adam Sandler stuff. And I think that's actually the one that I was talking about, where he ended up showing up, and I'm like, ooh, that really worked for me. You showing up in this show. Yeah, because he was not in the neighborhood. I thought it was, but it was another, like, of that era with Good Times and stuff where he showed up. I love him in Die Hard 2. John Amos in Die Hard 2, where they switch out the clips for the blue electric tape clips that are blanks. That is one of my favorite scenes in Die Hard 2. It's literally the only scene from Die Hard 2 I, like, have committed to memory. And it has...
Man, there's that moment where he slits that guy's throat on the plane.
That is so... But it is specifically that blue electrical tape signifies the dud rounds in magazines. And that has affected me right deep down to how I work, like, with electronics and things. Any of my batteries that I know can't hold a charge get blue electric tape around them. Because, like, if it's plugged into a laptop, it'll work, but, like, you can't take it going with you. So, like, I'll just check, and I'm like, okay, so I need to get another battery for this one. So he's in there. It was weird. But I also, since I just looked up his Wikipedia page, I'm going to read this and then we'll transition away. Suits LA, the television show in which he made his final acting appearance, paid posthumous tribute to him with an episode entitled Good Times, in which the characters Ted and Rick attempt to get him a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Ted observes, John Amos was the Sidney Poitier of television. He broke new ground for Black America, and he was a father figure for all of America. Yeah. Thanks, Suits LA. Never stop. Anything else that you want to talk about this episode of the Say Report, Sejohn?
No, not too much. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been playing some Dragon Age Veilguard.
Okay.
For anybody that knows the ways that I play these kinds of RPG games, is that for the first like 3 months that I have them, I just like keep restarting and creating characters and trying new things and seeing like how the mechanics really are affected. You know, it's something that I picked up when I was younger with these RPGs, that like sometimes you start to realize that it doesn't matter what you say, like the story's still going to progress in the same way. It's just a matter of, are you going to be Borderlands is not Borderlands. What was
Mass
there?
Effect?
I'm trying to think of the one that I was playing recently where I was like, it doesn't really matter what I pick here. You're just gonna kind of move forward anyway.
Was it Mass Effect when you went through the 3 Mass Effect games?
Well, so there is definitely a lot of that in Mass Effect. And BioWare, who also then make these games, the Dragon Age games as well. There's a lot of that in Mass Effect, and there's a lot of that in Dragon Age Veilguard. I am finding out after playing. But every now and then you find one that gets somebody like to go in a completely different direction. Whereas like something like Baldur's Gate 3 and what Larian did with that, if you say the wrong thing once, it completely shifts the tone of like entire sections of that game and stuff like that. It's wild how many branches that game has. But yeah, so I will make it a point to kind of play and replay beginnings of games, and because I'm always curious to know what different characters are like, certain factions and the ways in which they behave with each other, what happens if you actually start off as this type of character versus that type and things. And then once I kind of find one that I kind of like the way the story's going, that's usually the one that I end up playing through, but it takes me a couple of months to do so. I'm still in that early phase with Veilguard, so I'm still like trying things, but man, it's a blast. The first 2-3 hours of that game that I've now played about 3 times, like is a fun time. Like the story is really interesting. I don't know if anybody, you're not really into these games much at all, right, Dev?
No, I any type of game. The issue with the make a decision and all of your choices have an impact is I started to learn that none of my choices had an impact. And then I didn't really care about the games. Like, I think Infamous is the last ones that kind of hit me in some way. But really, it was just like, well, obviously, this is the good guy path. And then it would play through just being as evil as possible. And I'd play the good guy path because those required a clear on hard mode and a clear on easy mode, which was so crazy to me. So when I was the bad Infamous guy, I played on easy mode because it's easier to make bad choices. And then,
I will say that like Mass Effect, like the way that BioWare does this, it is Mass Effect. They really, screwed the pooch in that they made a bunch of promises about how the choices that you made were all going to branch out and then come back in a certain way. And by the end of two, it looked like they were making good on that, but then it all kind of diamonded back together into three. Um, and I think that what they've learned in the 15 years since that or whatever is that that rather than make those kinds of promises, not get so big and sprawly, right? And so there's definitely certain things here or there that can make changes, but that's not really where the changes are. The changes are more in the style of play, right? They do this really cool customization mode that you can put in with things in terms of combat, magic types, all sorts of stuff that can happen. The ways in which like characters can interact with you and things. There's like this whole weird depth of customization, not to the character, but to the world you're about to enter and stuff like that. That's really wild. You can completely change up your background. What I was going to say is that it's heavily related to Inquisition, which I know the Dragon Age games seem have been telling the same story, much in like the Elder Scrolls games all kind of exist within the same world. But this feels like this is like direct consequences of like I am meeting characters that I met when I was playing Inquisition, and they're main characters. They're not just like a fun like cameo or a reveal later in the story. They are main players in this story as well. So it feels very much like it's just a sequel to Inquisition too. And so like I'm kind of building off of the little bit of knowledge I retained from my playthroughs of that, which was years ago at this point. There's just there is definitely an element to it where it is very plucky, and I think that that might be where a lot of people are getting really kind of put off by it. Is that it's one of those games that is stuck in those conversations about like woke culture infecting video games and ruining games. It's just it is one of those games that was seen as being ruined by that kind of attitude, which sucks, right? Specifically, guys like I don't really want to name
Yeah,
certain
I don't think we
YouTubers
need to
out there
give
that are
them any air.
calling the show,
It is an
but yeah,
unfortunate truth about what you're saying. I was a little surprised to see that they were giving it away for free when I realized how like controversial, and I have air quotes around that, the game kind of is. Because it didn't really feel any different than what was happening in the other Dragon Age games. It's just that
yeah.
now
I
we're
think the
looking
bigger
for it.
I think the bigger thing is that what's going on in the Dragon Age games, what's going on in Veilguard in particular, is there's some stuff that's going on in the story that people that are fans of. This is the way this stuff always works. There are people that are very invested fans that are seeing things happening in the story they don't agree with. And so they call that shit out. And then it snowballs into suddenly somebody being like, yeah, there's also gay people too. And then the first people are like, well, no, that's not where our issue is. But now they're the vocal majority, right? Because there are some nuggets of criticism that are pretty valid in the ways in which certain factions interact with each other, which don't quite make sense in the history of what we know of this world. Because as I said, it feels like it's almost like a direct sequel to Inquisition, and so in that regard, there's some things that are said and done that you're just like, but that doesn't line up with what I know about this world. And I think that's fair to call out. I think that's fair criticism to give, and so they feel that the consensus seems to be that the quality in that regard was sacrificed in order to make room for more inclusiveness, which is a ridiculous fucking equation that makes no sense at all. Making a world more inclusive, thereby meaning you negate like the history of everything. We don't have to. It is the fear of erasure that people always have when otherness shows its face. So that people are just like, oh my god, something different is here. That means my value is going to go down, and that could possibly mean even hit zero at some point. And so they freak the fuck out. And it's just like that's not how it works. It's not a balancing act. Like we can still make an inclusive game, a game that still has, because there's a pronouns section where you can choose what your pronouns are, and you can be a female character but give yourself a bulge in your crotch. You could do all this, like you could do these things that people just don't agree with socially, which I don't know what their fucking problems are, but they've got these certain attitudes about the world, right? And then they see it in their game, and then on top of that, the game is also not doing what they expect it to do, and it just becomes this giant fucking fuck you conversation of people just arguing a bunch of bullshit, and nobody's allowed to have any actual valid criticism about it. I feel like this game I feel like this game is going to find its place once the bullshit calms down, because that's the other thing, is the bullshit always eventually goes away and people actually have these conversations 10 years too late. But I think once that happens, people are going to look back on this game and say it was a pretty middling game. 7.5, 8 out of 10 maybe, if people enjoyed it. Because I am enjoying it, but even I can't call it perfect. But like, I just can't believe the amount of hate this game it got for no fucking reason, from what I could tell.
Well, because of the artifact, I would imagine. That was a video I saw. Is that like they just say the artifact a lot in the game? So I don't know. As somebody who's played the first 3 hours, how often would you say they use the word artifact, Sejohn?
I haven't even encountered an artifact.
Okay,
so
well,
I
there
don't
you
even know what
go.
you're talking about.
Good. I mean, again, who knows? Like, it's one of those comedy videos on the internet that I saw, but I'm like, this is what I would want to engage on Dragon Age Veilguard. But again, like, they're not really the games that are for me. I've never done Elder Scrolls. I've never touched the Dragon Age stuff. And Dragon Age is more specifically because of the BioWare. The closest I've gotten to a game where change was part of the equation, but at the end of it really didn't matter, was Biomutant, which you got for free on PlayStation. I think last year they gave it out for free, about maybe February or April, like around this time. Did you play Biomutant at all? Did you get that one?
I started Biomutant and didn't get very into it, but I should give it another go. It's one of it came out and it came out for free, what, like 3 or 4 months ago?
Yeah, it definitely last year. I don't know. I was super excited for it. Dale had played it at PAX East, so that was either 2018 or 2019, and she was like, it's so in depth. Everything, like, it just feels so big and everything matters. And that was based on a demo that she played. Now, yes, demos are made in order to highlight all of the best parts, but so she had pre-ordered it. I have 2 collector's edition for Biomutant in the studio with me, because then we ended up getting it digitally for like $20 when it released. So it's like, oh, we don't need to open our collector's sets until it's like we have a place to put them up. Maybe they'll increase in value. They didn't. I would probably have to pay someone to take it away from me. And the reason that I have issue with the game is it's pretty good. It's definitely one of those open world games that released in the wake of Breath of the Wilds. So it is very much explore the world. There's little missions everywhere. And then at the 4 corners, there's a big thing that you need to deal with that will all bring you back to the center of the game. I explored the full map. I had a good time with it. But because of the choice system, I made it so I was neutral the entire game. And then I'm like, all right, cool. So then at the end, I can do one thing that makes me bad and get the bad ending, and then go back to my save, do one thing that's good, get the good ending. But I'm also going to see what happens if I go in neutral. And all 3 of the endings are exactly the same. It doesn't matter if you're good, bad, or neutral. In fact, you can't finish the game neutral because your act at the end of it always gives you 2 to your good file. So, like, if you're neutral, you just end up in 2 good. And if you're only 1, you end up 1 good. Like, killing the guy is the big issue. And it's really strange because, like, it gives you this option to, like, spare him. Where, like, we could just spare him now that we understand where his pain comes from. Because he's kind of like a feral animal, the guy that you end up fighting. So, like, he felt attacked, he lashed out, and that's why he killed your parents. Spoilers for a game that nobody's ever going to play. So I'm like, no, I'll spare him. Like, we know we can work through it now. And then it's like, okay, we spare him, and then you still have to fight him. Like, he's like, thanks for sparing me, asshole. I'm going to attack you. And it's like, so there's no matter to I got to get a cough button. Anything I've done in the game up to this point is there. Yeah. And that's just, like, disappointing. Because, like, it was really hard to make sure that I remained neutral throughout the entire game. Like, that took a lot of work. And I only did it because I wanted to see if I could challenge myself to stay truly, like, gray hat the entire game. And it was disappointing that, like, it didn't matter. Like, why do you have that as an option if it's not going to like, I don't know.
it becomes more about like, do you want to be, what kind of hero do you want to be? You're going to be a good guy no matter what, but what kind of good guy do you want to be? Do you want to be an anti-hero? Do you want to be the gruff, like Han Solo type, or do you want to be the plucky Luke Skywalker type?
You really like the word plucky this week. I'm a big fan of it, Sejohn. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why it's coming up, but
It did remind me of the plucky Squire, which if I can get that for $20, I might do that this next week.
I think that's up on PlayStation Plus.
Okay, well, I have regular PlayStation Plus. I don't have any like the ones that give me the games for free, other than the monthly ones.
Oh, so you just get the online? Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, because I like having a large library. I know what it does for me. Not much. So there you go. That's cool. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else really. I mean, it was Rex Manning Day this past week. April 8th happened. Back in February, we recorded a very special episode for the 30th anniversary of Empire Records. And I decided, since we had done all that work, that I would watch the special fan remix edition of Empire Records. For the first time since I was disappointed by it back in like 2008. And I forgot that there are some moments that are actually kind of nice, but they are undone by all of the moments that are terrible that it adds in. It was not my imagination. Rex Manning, when Corey offers herself to him, takes out his dick, grabs the bottle of blue cheese dressing, and goes, "I hope you like the taste of blue cheese." That was something that I thought my mind had invented and made worse than it actually was. It's as bad as it sounds. Yeah, so that was a fun way to celebrate it. It was on sale for Rex Manning Day for $4. So I now have a digital license to it on Amazon until Amazon decides to take it away. Long-term rental. But it was interesting. It was interesting to go back and watch that as a way to celebrate Rex Manning Day. But yeah, no. And again, go listen to our very special episode if you haven't, because it was a lot of fun talking about that movie that was super influential for both Sejohn and I in ways that neither one of us was really aware of till we decided to take out our trusty magnifying glasses and give it a deeper look.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything. I started Common Side Effects. I'm going to wait till I watch 4 episodes. Mike Judge is great in that show, though. But it's not a Mike Judge show. He's just a producer on it. Some people had recommended it to me because they know I was a fan of Mike Judge. But he's just an EP. It is the creative talents on Common Side Effects. He is not one of them. He's just doing a voice and giving them money. Are you familiar with that one?
That's the animated one that has been up on HBO Max for the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah. They just finished, I think, 2 weeks ago. It's 10 episodes. That first episode was really good, and the animation is gorgeous. But I want to get a little deeper into the story before talking about it. I feel like I started Chicken Sisters. No, we're not going to talk about Chicken Sisters. No, outside of if Margot Martindale ends up being a chicken that's narrating it. But I don't think it's everything I hate in a TV show all rolled into one.
Nice.
I think that's really it, right? We did, yeah. I don't know. Oh, Vampire Survivors new content dropped. I have no idea about the Saga games, but I've been having fun with the free DLC. So that's a thing to note. They also updated the regular game without... The DLC is free, but they did that usual thing where, we also added more content to our regular game that you don't have to pay for. But then they made the DLC free. I don't understand the situation there. But all the stuff with the coop and the chickens and trying to go a minute without killing an enemy, that stuff was really fun. And then going into Saga, where you go through portals to different areas and a lot of inverse world things that I need to accomplish where my characters are not strong enough for it yet. Even with the infinite money that I have, I need to buy more eggs for them to make them able to survive.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's it. Oh, if you're on Epic Game Store, just because we talk about it all the time on the show, River City Girls is free until Thursday the 17th. River City Girls is the 2019 Game of the Year for me and my sister. Even though the ending initially was a huge betrayal of everything that came before it. Even though I disagree with the fact that the director of the game called me, Kyoko and Masako stupid girls, so it doesn't really matter what they do. Like, how do you have disdain for characters that you're working with? Like, I don't get it. The game is still pretty fucking incredible. And $0 if you're using the Epic Game Store is a great price to pay for it if you're looking for a good beat-em-up. Probably the game that started the beat-em-up revolution that we're still kind of in the middle of. But definitely led to... There would be no Shredder's Revenge without River City Girls. I will go on record saying that.
All right.
I think that... I can't think of really anything else. Like, I just kind of had like a nice chill week. I went out a couple of times. I ate some good food. I had some good laughs. Rip the bus driver told me wish I had my energy. Chicken Jockey happened. I just don't know, Sejohn. Anything else that you want to say? Because I think I'm ready to wrap this one up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love y'all. See you next week.
Yeah. All right, so if you've enjoyed what you've heard today, you can keep the conversation going in our Discord. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media. So that is X, formerly Twitter, or Facebook. Just go to our page, and then in the bio section, there's an invitation to join the Discord. Or you can always send an email to thesayreport@gmail.com. And we can facilitate with an invitation that way. Or if you're not really like hip and wanting to do the whole Discord thing, we get it. Basically, we can just talk to you via email as if it was the early 2000s. Oh, I was going to talk about Freakazoid. Sejohn, there is a pin to talk about Freakazoid at the start of next episode. You're in charge of that. But yeah, you can talk to us like it's the 2000s via email. And if you're sending something for just myself, Devin Decker, or him, Sejohn Sarowick, make sure you put our name in the subject line, and it will be sorted appropriately so that the Say reporter that you're not interested in communicating with has no idea what you're talking about. All of that being said, the Freakazoid thing, but then I triggered another memory in my mind that I was like, oh, that whole thing. But hey, you know what? I've lost it. It doesn't really matter. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. We will see you next week. And until then, William, please bring us home.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host, Devin Decker and Sejohn Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report. And you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.